everybody. Greetings and blessings. Welcome to my virtual yoga studio here on YouTube. If you've never practiced with me before, my name is Tara Davy or Tara. You could also call me Laura or Wild Yogi Thing. I am an Atlanta and North Georgia based yoga and meditation teacher. And of course, I'm based online as well. And I love to teach in this way because it feels like a really accessible way for us to connect and for folks to connect to the practice. I am also a spiritual social media strategist, and I'm in school to become a clinical social worker. So, within all of those roles that I move through in my life and in the world, the foundation of it all really is the yoga practice. My connection to the yoga practice is the reason that I get to do all the other work that I do in the world. And it's my favorite kind of work to do. So I feel really grateful to share a practice with you in this virtual way. And I thank you for being here with me and practicing with me. This practice is made for those days when we sit in a chair and stare at a screen for hours at a time. And you could be taking this at any point, but I am filming it in 2020 in the seventh month of the COVID-19 pandemic. So much of the world is still digital. As you know, you're taking a virtual yoga class. So for many of us, that's the reality. Many days we're sitting a lot and the body can get really congested with tension when we have to sit like that. And we're looking at these screens, whether it's the phone or the computer, taking in so much information through the eyes and sometimes straining the neck and the shoulders. So there's a lot that this way of living that is more real for all of us now than ever. There's a lot that it's doing to our bodies and to ourselves energetically. And so this is a practice that will offer you some yogic tools to address that. This is yoga for the Zoom body. So we're going to address neck, eyes, shoulders, the spine, the hips, all of that in order to release some of that tension, both physically and energetically, as a way of settling more deeply in, settling into ourselves. Because it's really hard to feel settled and comfortable in our bodies and in ourselves when there's so much tension. So we're going to work with that. All right. You might want a blanket or a beach towel or anything you could fold up and use as padding in this practice. If there are any other props you like to have handy, of course, please grab your props. And we're going to find our way into a comfortable seat to begin. And a comfortable seat is any seat as long as your spine is long. All right. So you might do like I'm doing and take that blanket or that beach towel and take it underneath your hips, elevating your hip bones above your kneecaps. That makes your low back spacious. And from there, you can lengthen the whole spine. You could cross your shins or sit with your legs straight out in front of you or sit on your heels. There's really no right or wrong way to sit as long as you can lengthen that spine. And once you find your seat, I want you to lengthen on purpose. So inhale, rise up, get really tall. As we exhale, we're just going to drop in. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears and backward. Sink more weight into your tailbone so that you settle a little more on the earth. Settling in for the practice. You can start to soften your belly, unclench your jaw. Maybe you smooth out your eyebrows, soften your tongue down away from the roof of your mouth. All these micro practices, these micro movements and adjustments to give us an idea of what it feels like to really start to settle in. As you settle, you can close your eyes or you can gaze softly at the floor. It's really about what feels good to you as you start to turn your attention inside. There's a lot of external stuff to contend with right now, and we don't want to hide away from it. We have to be really real about the world. But the only place we have real power in it is inside. So we turn inside as yet another way of settling into the practice. And if you haven't already, you really start to settle into your breath, breathing in and out through your nose if nostril breathing is accessible for you today. You don't have to really do much to the breath. You don't have to change it. I just want you to notice what it's like for you to inhale right now. What is it like for you to exhale right now? And just keep noticing. Just paying simple, clear attention to your own breath. This is how we'll begin the practice, and the breath is the foundation upon which we will build the entire practice. And the breath is a present moment experience. It's not happening in the past, it's not happening in the future. So it is our most accessible tool for settling in because it really brings us into the moment that we're in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. As you exhale, start to tilt your chin toward your chest. You can blink your eyes open or keep them closed, but keep your chin tucked. Really drop your shoulders and round your neck. Imagine you could press the vertebrae of your neck more to the sky above you as you really stretch the back of your neck. And continue to breathe. Even as we add movements, the breath kind of stays at the center of the practice. Here's the back of the neck. It might become very apparent to you that there's some tension here. But anytime the body gives you that feedback, we don't want to force anything, but we want to see if we can breathe that present moment awareness into it and just notice it, just like we would notice the breath. Because it is part of our present experience. Anytime we connect with the body, we're settling into the present, even if we're connecting with the fact that there's tension. Okay, now we're going to balance this out. So inhale, begin to tilt your chin up toward the sky or toward the ceiling. Stop when it feels okay. We don't want to compress the back of the neck. So you don't want to feel this crunching or pressing at the vertebrae of the back of the neck. Instead, just find a good stretch for the front of your throat. Keep relaxing your shoulders back and down and breathe. This is how we start to counterbalance all that rounding and craning of the neck when looking at screens. So just keep stretching, keep breathing. Okay. On your next exhale, bring your chin back to center. Now, as you inhale, just look over your right shoulder. Keep both shoulders moving back and down. It's a little twist, but just for the very top of your spine, for the neck. Soften your jaw and let your jaw hang to kind of settle you even more deeply into this mini twist. Still breathing. And then inhale back to center. And just exhale, come to the other side. Both shoulders back and down. Jaw soft, twisting at the neck. Breathing to settle into whatever is here for you. Okay, inhale back to center. As you exhale, if your legs are crossed, just recross them so the other leg is in front to create balance in your hips. There's some more practices I want to do with you that involve sitting still, but before we get into that, I want to get us moving because so much of the tension that we experience from sitting is literally from being still. So let's balance that out by moving. Bring your palms face down to your knees or to your thighs. Inhale, get your spine long as you root your tailbone down. And then as you exhale, tone your belly to move with strength. As you tilt your chest and your torso over your right knee, swing to the left, and then inhale, come upright. Exhale, circle around and forward, and inhale, come up. All right, we're making body circles. The hips stay rooted to the floor. You move from the strength of your belly and you try to get as much of your torso moving as possible. So move your spine. If you can move the sides of your body, move them. If you can move your ribs, move them. If you can move your shoulders, Move them, just creating space and fluidity in these places that can get stagnant and tense. And we're really moving with the breath. This is the first opportunity we've had so far to move at the same pace as the breath. Just like the breath, the body is only happening in the present moment. So when we link the breath to the body, we are even more equipped to settle into that present moment experience. So go for it for a few more circles. Exhaling forward, inhaling up. Inhale back to center. Just settle for a moment. Again, let the shoulders drop, let the tailbone drop to the earth. Notice how you feel after your first round of kind of more vigorous movement in your practice. Okay. And then on an exhale, just tilt your chin to your chest. Breathe, stretch the back of that neck again. Inhale, chin tilts to the sky. Don't compress the back of your neck, but stretch the front of your throat and breathe. Next exhale, come to center. Inhale, look over the right shoulder. Drop the shoulders, twist the cervical spine, the very top of the spine. Exhale back through center and inhale, look the other way. Look over the left shoulder. Okay. Bring your chin back to center. Inhale, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, we're going to body circle the other way. Go over your left knee first and then to the right. Keep your hips rooted. Move from your belly. Move every possible thing on your torso that you can move, and go with your breath. Just inviting some warmth and life into these spaces in the body, into the breath and the energy body, to counterbalance anything that feels stagnant or stuck from sitting, from being stressed, whatever it is. Just a few more circles. Inhale your spine back to neutral. As you exhale, lean back on your hands. And you want to check your hands out. Turn your fingertips out toward either side of the room. Point your index fingers, or I should say push your index fingers into the mat and spread the rest of your fingers wide just to have a good hand placement for your wrists. And then extend your legs straight out in front of you. Flex your feet and spread your toes. Flex the feet so powerfully that the heels almost lift, or maybe they do lift. Pull the toes backward and just get those feet nice and active. You'll want your feet wider than your hips. You can lean back a little on your hands, but lengthen your spine. Now inhale, roll your toes open toward either side of the room. Exhale, roll your toes in toward each other. We're going to take a strong breath. You can go at your own pace, but we're going to do it with the breath. Rolling out, rolling in. So we're beginning to roll the femur bone, the thigh bone, around in the hip socket, which is an excellent way to open the hips, create some more of that warmth in those hips that can get so stagnant, so congested with tension. So if you're, on a Zoom call and you're between meetings or something, and you can take a moment, just sit on the floor and roll your femurs out. Doesn't matter how silly you look, you're hopefully or probably or most likely at home. And if you're not, I understand there's places we gotta be. But all I'm saying is you'll probably be at home, so you won't look that silly, because the only person that'll see you is probably your dog or your cat. Just creating that warmth, rolling out and in. Take 3. Relax. Okay. Take a moment, lift off your hands and just circle your wrists out a few times. And circle them the other way. Wiggle your fingers out a few times. Place your hands back on the yoga mat. And again, feet wide, flexed, toes spread. Now, I want you to begin to really purposefully roll your ankles. It's really easy to go on autopilot here, but resist that. Really notice the bones of your shins, your ankles, your feet and toes. Notice your heels and your arches, the space between your toes, and just bring some of that warmth into the ankles and the shins. You might start to get some feedback from your body, but again, even if we're noticing tension, it's still noticing, it's still settling into present moment awareness. Pause, roll in the other direction. I'm going pretty quick. I'm noticing that. You can do that if that feels good, or you can slow it down a little or go somewhere in between. And that counts for the whole practice. You can adapt this, make it your own, adjust it so that it is meeting you, because we don't want to force anything. That's the opposite of settling. That can create more tension. We're looking to release. Okay, pause. Cross your ankles. Come onto your hands. Actually, don't for just a moment. Cross your ankles for just a moment longer. And one more time, I'd like you to roll your wrists out. Don't do it with force, but this time see if you can do it with as much mindfulness and intention as you rolled your ankles, making even the really simple practices so purposeful, so present. Feel some heat in the wrists, in the hands, and roll the other way. Are you still breathing? I hope you are. Okay, now come onto your hands and knees. Create a tabletop in your body. So knees come underneath the hips, hands come under the shoulders. If you've got a blanket or padding, it might be a good time to put it underneath your knees. Point your index fingers straight toward the top of the yoga mat. Press them into the yoga mat and then spread the rest of your fingers wide. All right, so the index fingers are active, inner edges of the hands are active, which again is just the safest way to put weight in our hands to protect the wrists. Tuck your toes to stretch the arches of your feet. And we're going to continue to move with the breath here with a little cat-cow rolling. So inhale, drop your belly down. Tilt your tailbone up, tilt your chest up, squeeze your shoulders backward. Now exhale, round your back. Push your hands into the floor. Push your shoulders apart. Pull your belly button towards your spine and begin to move with your breath. Such a good practice just to get warmth in the spine, movement in the spine after it's been stagnant. You feel space in every vertebrae. The shoulders are also moving up and down the back, which is great because the shoulders get just as irritated as anything else when we're sitting all the time. You're starting to warm your whole body because you're working your core. You're really exhaling, rounding, pulling your belly button backward, and that heats your core, which heats the whole body. So just invite that warmth. Settle into it with that body breath connection. Remember, go at your pace. Adapt for your practice. It's yours. Okay, inhale your spine back to neutral. As you exhale, sit down onto one side of your hips. Swing your legs out in front of you again. All right, this time, coming into staff pose, the legs are hip width apart. The fingertips are perched, or the palms are perched right beside the hips, and the spine is long and upright, shoulders over the hips. Flex those feet and spread your toes again. Take a bend in your knees, little or a little bit more pronounced, but engage your legs by squeezing your thighs and pressing your thighs toward the floor. Tone your belly. So like your cat pose, you pull your belly button towards your spine. I do not want you to suck in. I never want you to suck in. Just contracting the abdominal muscles. From that place, you can lengthen your spine. You pull your shoulders back and down. Everything is alive in these strong lines in Dandasana, staff. Okay, now we're going to move. Inhale, sweep your arms to the sky, pull your shoulders back and down, get long. Exhale, stay long, tone your belly, begin to fold yourself forward and tap the earth on either side of your legs. Doesn't matter where you tap, doesn't matter how far your torso comes down. All right, inhale, tone your belly, sweep it up. Exhale, fold and tap. With the breath, you reach, your heart moves forward, you fold, your spine lengthens. Moving with the belly, just like in your spine circle, so that we're moving from a place of strength. The spine stays supported as we get it fluid and open. If you like a visual in your practice, maybe you're reaching for the space above you and then bowing to the earth beneath you, just settling in to all those different kind of planes of reality in the present moment. Doing that through the reality of your body and breath. Once again, we're going to take 3. Now you inhale, reach up, exhale, fold and tap. And wherever you are in your spine, stay there. We're just going to come into our seated forward fold for a few breaths. Paschimottanasana. Again, knees can softly bend, or you can bend them a lot because you want to prioritize lengthening your spine. You press your tailbone into the earth as you reach the crown of your head forward. Pull your shoulders onto your back. All right. Wherever you are, take your hands and grab the outsides of your shins. Now press your shins into your hands. Press your hands into your shins. Hips again. There might be some tension, very apparent here. But we see if we can just breathe present moment awareness into what's here, because even that helps us to settle. And the more you work with the hips, the more tension does get released. So just give yourself some time and space to breathe here. No matter how far down you are, you just lengthen your spine. You press hands into legs, legs into hands. You're doing the work. Okay, fingertips press into the floor. Slowly walk your spine upright and come back to a comfortable seat. Okay. Whatever leg you instinctually cross in front, keep it there. We're going to switch throughout anytime we come to a seat just to keep the hips balanced. But I think we are back to whatever side is most natural to you. I think that's the one we need to be on. Okay. Now that we've warmed through some movement, we're going to get still for just a moment before we move again. Because I told you one of the places I wanted to address was your eyes, right? We take in like most of the information that we get through our eyes. There's some percentage, I can't remember what it is, but suffice to say, we take in a lot of information through the eyes in regular times, but now, like, there's more information to be taken in than ever. One, because we're doing all of this work on the computer, we're doing meetings on screens, so we're taking it in that way, and there's just a lot going on. So there's a lot we have to absorb, and we absorb so much of it through the eyes. And I don't know about you, but my eyes are one of the places where I feel it when I am not settled. When I am tense and stressed, my eyes tell me, because I might sit for meditation or close my eyes at a yoga practice or just close my eyes to take a couple deep breaths. But even with my eyes closed, my eyeballs are still zooming back and forth like I'm reading something. And it's just an excess of kind of active energy, because we have to be so active and we have so much to take in and there's so much stress and we kind of feel like we have to be in fight or flight all the time. The eyes don't want to settle. So it's important that we take care of our eyes just like we take care of the hips and the shoulders and all of that. So there are some energetic practices we can do to settle the eyes just like we would settle the rest of the body. So we're going to do those now together before we start to move in the body again. So from your comfortable seat, I want you to start by rubbing your hands together. We just want to get the hands warm. Feel some heat between your hands. Feeling heat is a nice way to kind of touch into the more energetic aspects of the body that go beyond just the physical. So kind of feel that friction between your hands. And then once it gets nice and warm, I want you to cup your hands over your eyes and blink your eyes open and closed a few times. Feeling the heat from your hands washing over your eyes. And it's like the heat could settle them, ground them, make them a little more heavy and still rather than rapid and kind of frenetic. And then once you're ready, just close your eyes and imagine energetically pressing into your eyes. Don't physically do it, but just energetically press some of that heat into your eyes, like you could physically settle your eyes more into your head. And breathe. And then release that. Take your fingertips to the back of your neck. And I want you to feel around until you find that bony ridge line where your neck and head meet. It's right at the back of your skull. This is your occipital lobe. This is the space in your brain where all of the images that your eyes take in are processed. I want you to just start to massage, do a little self-massage along that ridge at the back of your neck. So this is where all the information we take in through our eyes is processed. So just give it space. Imagine just releasing and kind of kneading out any excess data, any excess tension that you don't need so that you can be clearer and more settled in your eyes and even in your mind. Okay, release that. Release your hands comfortably to your lap. Lengthen your spine. Close your eyes or gaze softly at the floor and just reconnect with your breath for a moment. And now we're going to use our creative imagination to combine the breath with the eyes for more of that energetic settling. So I want you to bring your attention to your left eye. Now imagine your breath coming in and out through that eye. So imagine breathing in through your left eye and breathing out through your left eye. So the breath just kind of starts to saturate and, for lack of a better word, heal, settle the left eye. Feel it getting heavier, less buzzy. And then on your next exhale, you'll breathe in through the left eye, but as you exhale, switch to the right. Just imagine breathing out through your right eye and in through your right eye. And just let the breath meet and settle the right eye now for a few moments. Okay. Now inhale, imagine the breath coming in through both eyes, balancing and settling. Now exhale all the breath out of your mouth just to clear some tension. Do that again, in through both eyes. Big release through the mouth. One more. Now blink your eyes open. Come back to your hands and knees. Tabletop again. Now we're going to do a very similar movement to that cat-cow we were working on, but we're going to add the legs. So we're just going to do a little leg extension. Spread your fingers and press your index fingers into the floor. For this round, flatten the tops of your feet on the earth. Now inhale, reach your right leg up and back. Squeeze your leg to lift. Lift your heart and squeeze your shoulders backward. Now exhale, round your back. Pull your knee in toward your nose. And move with your breath. Just reconnecting to that body breath rhythm that settles you in the physical as well as that energetic space. Just get the warmth and aliveness back. Take 2. Exhale, round. Lower your right knee to the floor and just tilt your hips from side to side a couple times. Come to center. Second side. Inhale your left leg up and back. Squeeze the leg. Lift the heart and squeeze the shoulders back. Exhale, round. Go with your breath. And with every exhale, squeezing all the muscles you can find to like literally physically squeeze tension out, like you're squeezing a wet sponge. Maybe not literally, but definitely energetically and physically squeezing it out. One more. Round it in. Left knee to the floor. Just tilt your hips from side to side like you're wagging your tail, just to provide a little release on the outsides of the hips. Okay, come back to center. From here, I want you to rise up to kneeling. So you're going to stand on your knees, and I actually need to adjust my camera just a bit in order to do this, so give me just a moment. This is the reality and the joy of virtual yoga experiences. Okay. All right, so you're going to come to stand on your knees. This might be a good time for some knee padding if you've got it, if you want it. My arms might get a little cut off here, so I apologize, but you'll get the picture of the movement that we're doing. So standing on the knees, you can tuck your toes or untuck them, just depending on what feels the best for your knees, for your feet. Do squeeze your thighs together like you're trying to hold your favorite book between your thigh muscles. Then tone your belly by pulling your belly button back towards your spine. So we just create a strong foundation in the low body. We want it to stay steady. We don't really want it to move. What we do want to move is the shoulders, all right? So now I'm coming for your shoulders. We're going to address those shoulders because so much of the tension can build up here. So we're literally or physically or energetically, again, going to squeeze tension out of the shoulders. Inhale, sweep your arms backward and then straight out in front of you. As you exhale, bend your elbows to the shape of a cactus. Make fists in your hands. Squeeze your elbows backward. Squeeze your upper arm muscles and squeeze your shoulder blades. And then, like moving through syrup, slowly and intentionally pull your arms down all the way back till they're beside you again. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as you glide through this cactus shape, this trident shape, all the way back down. Inhaling, reaching, exhaling, squeezing for some trident glides. Go at your pace, just connect and settle with those present moment realities of the body and breath. And imagine squeezing tension out of your shoulders as you put the shoulders back on the back plane of the body. They like to come forward, but we want to put them back. Take a few more. Squeeze. Feel a little badass because you are. All right. One more trident glide. Exhale, squeeze. Reach your arms down beside you and release the fists from your hands and just begin some backwards shoulder rolls. Just move the shoulders up, back, and down, like you could massage out the muscles of your upper back with your shoulder bones. And the breath pace is kind of like inhale for a whole circle, exhale for a whole circle, just staying connected to that breath. All right, after your next exhale, just switch the direction. Begin to roll your shoulders forward a few times. Now you're pressing the shoulder blades apart, just creating more space for the upper back, more space for the back of the heart, if you will. Maybe some feedback happening in the shoulders. Just keep connecting. Keep settling with all these present moment indicators that you have. And then next time you inhale, roll them up, back, and down. One more time. Okay. Bring your hands to your hips. You want to be in about the center of your mat. From the center of the mat, squeeze your thighs in, tone your belly, pull your elbows and shoulders backward so everything is nice and aligned. Keep that alignment. Step your left foot forward on the mat. It might take a few steps. You want your left foot aligned with your left hip. Then you push your left foot into the floor, starting to activate that left hip. All right. Square the hips by pulling your right hip bone forward, left hip bone backward. Activate both legs by squeezing them both toward the center of the yoga mat. Keep your belly and shoulders engaged, and you can stay here in this 90-degree lunge if this feels really aligned and like you could settle in your body, or you can start to bend a little more deeply into that left knee, sinking your tailbone down and forward. The trick is, though, your torso is going to want to lean forward. Resist that. Pull the torso back. Belly button back. Pull the elbows and shoulders back and let the heart start to lift. All right, so open hips, open heart. Engage with it with your breath for a moment. Okay, you can keep your hands right where they are or keep your shoulders where they are, but inhale, sweep your arms to the sky. Exhale, settle into your front hips, settle into your heart. Inhale. Exhale in slow motion. Get your spine super long as you bow forward and place your fingertips down on the floor on either side of your left foot. So you can perch up on your fingers, or if you have blocks or block adjacent props that you want to use to lengthen your arms in this pose, go for it. Okay, keep your hips square. Keep squeezing your legs toward each other. Take your right hand and center it under your shoulder on the mat or on the block. If it's on the mat, spread your fingers and press that pointer finger down. Now take an inhale and either take your left hand to your left hip or reach your left arm to the sky as you twist. You're turning your chest open toward your left knee. Turn from your belly. So pull that belly button to the spine to give you strength to twist from. Keep squeezing your legs. Squeeze your shoulders backward. Lift your heart. Now you can stay here and just wring out your spine like this, or bring some more of that heat and movement into the spine by inhaling to reach up. As you exhale, you're going to turn toward the mat, wrap your left arm around your left thigh, and curl in your upper back. Now you inhale, reach up and twist. Exhale, round, wrap your arm and curl, and do that with your breath. Just getting that spine awake and alive as you take this opportunity to wring out some stagnancy, some tension. I don't know if stagnancy is a word, but I'm making it one. Okay, we're going to take one more round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, this time, just bring your left hand to the mat. Step your left foot and left knee backward. Come onto your hands and knees. Tilt your hips from side to side a couple times. All right, notice the contrast from one hip to the other. One might be more alive than the other. You can come back to center. And contrast is yet another way that we get these signals from our body about what we're experiencing. And we can just experience it as the present moment, right? Just more ways to settle in. Okay, come onto your hands and knees. Hands on hips, thighs, belly, shoulders engaged. And we're going to step the right foot forward. Line your right foot up with your right hip. Square your hips. Left hip bone moves forward and the right one moves back. You push your right foot into the floor and then you squeeze both legs toward the center of the mat to activate both legs. Okay, stay here in your 90-degree lunge, or if it feels good, and only if, bend a little more deeply into the right knee. Keep squaring the hips, pulling the torso, shoulders, elbows, and belly button backward. So your heart starts to move forward. You open the chest, you open the hips, you engage with the breath. Okay, stay here with the arms or keep the shoulders moving back and down, but inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, settle into your hips, settle into your pose. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Inhale, reach. As you exhale, keep your spine long as you slowly bow forward. Bring your fingertips to the earth or to your blocks or props on either side of that right foot. Okay. From here, left hand comes under the shoulder on the block or on the mat. If it's on the mat, spread the fingers, press the pointer finger down. Now, either take your right hand to your hip or reach your right arm to the sky as you open into a twist. Chest moves to the right. Hips stay square. Legs squeeze, belly tones, and from that strength, you open your chest. You move your left ribs more to the right. You move your shoulders further back. You just stretch open all those places that can get tight and tense. Now you can stay here or move with it, inhaling to reach up. Exhale, turn your torso toward the mat. Wrap your arm around your right thigh and curl your upper back. Okay, inhale, reach up. Exhale, curl and round. Connect with your breath. Keep going. Two more. I'm sure you look amazing. One. This time as you turn to the mat, just take your right hand to the mat. Step your right foot, right knee backward. And this time take a few more cat-cows. Just get that simple, powerful length and movement in the spine. Feel your hip flexors moving. Just notice if this feels any differently to you about halfway through the practice. Notice how you shift and settle and open and just exist in your practice. And bring your spine back to neutral. Come up to kneeling once more. Okay? Now, you might want to turn to face the long side of your mat so that there's space to your right and to your left. If you already have space to your right and to your left, don't worry about turning. Untuck your toes for this one just so you have lots of places to press into the floor and stay nice and balanced. Okay? Now bring your hands to your hips. I'm going to mirror you here, just FYI. Step your right leg straight out to the right. Flex your foot and spread your toes. Take your right heel on the same line as your left knee and then squeeze your legs toward each other. Activate the legs in a hip opener here. Now reach your arms straight out. Turn your palms forward. Squeeze your shoulders back. Tone your belly. We want to move from the belly again as we start to lean the torso over to the right. Bring the back of your right hand to the inside of your right thigh. Reach your left arm over, but you don't have to come that far over to do the pose. You can actually think more about reaching up with your left fingertips to open the side of your body. Your hips are going to want to collapse backward. Press them forward. Press your shoulders backward. This open. The side body stretches are so good because the more space we have in the torso, the more space we have in the spine. Okay? You can stay here or bend your left elbow, bring your left fingertips to the back of your head, and press your skull back into your fingers as a way of deepening the shoulder reality here as well. Gate pose. One more breath, yogis. Okay, inhale, float your top arm up, float both arms out to the side and just press your shoulders and hands back. Just get your heart wide and free for a moment. Exhale, hands to hips, right knee comes back to center. Inhale, left foot comes straight out to the left. Heel and knee line up, flex your foot and spread your toes, then squeeze the legs so the legs get active to support you in this hip opening shape in the legs. Now, inhale, arms out, palms forward. Squeeze the shoulders back and move from your strong belly as you lean to the left, back of your left hand to your inner left thigh. Reach the right arm up and over, but think more up. It doesn't actually matter how far you come over. The higher you reach your fingertips, the more you stretch that side body open. Push the hips forward, shoulders back. Stay here or bend into your right elbow. Bring your fingertips to the back of your head and press your skull backward to move your shoulder even further back in space. from the hips to the side body to the shoulders, just pulling open these spaces that can get so constricted. Okay, inhale, float your top arm up, float both arms out. Press your press your hands and shoulders back, heart forward, get nice and open, and then exhale. Hands to your hips, come back to center. Okay, we're gonna sit down onto one side of the hips. Whatever side that you wanna go to instinctually, just go the other way so that we can balance it out from the other time that we went down onto one side of the hips, right? Swing the legs out in front of you. Scoot toward the top of your yoga mat and bend your knees. Put your feet on the floor and grab the backs of your thighs. All right, we're about to make our way onto our backs, and we're going to do it in a way that is really sweet for the back. We're going to roll the spine out like we got a rolling pin just to get that energy moving freely. We are releasing the stagnant stuff, opening and settling into more space, okay? This is spinal rocking, so what you're going to end up doing is exhaling, rocking onto your shoulders, inhaling onto your tailbone. If that is not going to be safe or productive for your body, that's fine. Just come to lie on your back, hug your knees in towards your chest, and breathe up and down your spine. If you imagine the breath moving up and down, it's going to do something very similar to the physical movement. If you're doing the physical movement, lift your spine. Tone your belly. Pull that belly button backward. Pull the shoulders backward. Keep the belly toned to keep this movement stable and supported. Take an inhale. Exhale, rock onto your shoulders. Inhale, rock onto your tailbone. So we move that life and energy around in the spine. This also starts to become core work. So we continue to build heat in the body. This also moves the lymph fluid around in the body, which is great for the immune system. Just get into your rhythm, maybe get into a little playfulness here. Playfulness helps us release tension as well. And then the next time you rock back, just rock all the way back. Hug your knees in towards your chest in a reclining child's pose. Grab your shins. Press your hands into your shins, and at the same time, press your shins into your hands. Feel how that brings some life into your hips. And let it allow you to press your lower back more firmly, with more stability into the mat. Let your shoulders relax into the mat. So one of the places we definitely want to address when we're talking about the computer body, the stillness body, the Zoom body, is the lower back, of course. And one of the ways we address the lower back is by doing core work, because the core is what holds the entire spine up. It supports our whole spine, so the more work that we can ignite and empower our core to do, the less work the back has to do, which can really help to alleviate lower back tension. So it does not matter if you have a six-pack or whatever, but if you have a strong core, you have a functional back and you have less tension. And who doesn't want that? And also, if you want a six-pack, that's fine. I'm just saying there's more to it than that. So to do a little core work together, what I want you to do is flex your feet from your reclined child's pose. Now take your hands and press them into your thighs. Then begin to slide your legs forward until your kneecaps are on top of your hips. Your shins come straight out from your knees. So you're making this little stair step shape in your legs. Now push your hands into your thighs. Push your thighs into your hands. This is going to start to activate your low belly, the muscles that we want turned on to support the lower back. So just feel it. There's probably some feedback. Let that feedback, no matter how uncomfortable, settle you into the present moment. Uncomfortable is different than painful. Please don't do anything that's painful. At the same time, with this support, again, our low back is so stable on the ground. Our low back is completely grounded in this pose. So just feel that stabilization. Take a couple more breaths. Okay, hug your knees in towards your chest again. Pause for a breath. Now, I want you to place your arms down beside you, palms on the ground, arms close to your body. Take an inhale and just extend both legs to the skies. Point your feet and hug your thighs close. Your knees can be as bent as you need them. Just squeeze the thighs and try to stack your knees on top of your hips. Try to keep pressing your lower back into the mat and pull your belly button down toward the mat beneath you so you keep that same stability in the core and the low back. If your low back needs more support, you can always slide your hands underneath your butt so that it does have that. All right, so do what you need to do. Take an inhale here. Now exhale as slowly as you can. Lower your feet to a hover. Your hover might be 4 feet off the ground. It might be 2 inches off the ground. Keep toning your belly, squeezing your legs. Okay, inhale, take it back up. We're just going to do 2 more, all right? Take it to a hover. Squeeze the thighs, tone the belly. Inhale, take it back up. I know, lots of feedback here. One more time as you exhale, take it to your hover. Squeeze where you can, even soften where you can, and then just bend your knees from here. Hug the knees in toward the chest. Drop your feet to the floor and walk your thighs in close so the inner edges of your feet touch or are close to touching. Take your arms out beside you, either in the shape of a capital T or like a cactus or that trident shape. You can bring the backs of your hands to the floor, shoulders and elbows really solid on the floor. Now squeeze your thighs toward each other. Take an inhale. Exhale, drop your knees over to the left. Look to the right. Just a gentle twist, squeezing the thighs toward each other. Trying to press your right knee a little further away from you, but keep your right shoulder on the mat. If it doesn't feel good to look over your right shoulder, just look to the ceiling. Another chance to twist and wring out like a wet cloth. You know, when you kind of wring the cloth and you squeeze a little, allow your breath to kind of be like the motion that squeezes the cloth and presses out tension in this pose. Okay, inhale your chin and knees to center. Recenter your shoulders on the ground, squeeze your thighs toward each other. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees to the left. Nope, drop your knees to the right. I'm sorry. Look to the left if your neck says yes. Keep your left shoulder heavy, but press your left knee further away from you as you squeeze your thighs toward each other. And breathe. See where you can settle in as you have done all this different work in your body to release tension. You're coming toward the end of your practice. Where are you at? What's it like? Okay, inhale your chin and knees back to center. As you exhale, roll to one side. Press your hands into the floor. Press your way upright, and with as many steps as you might need, find your way to hands and knees one more time. Cat-cow. Last round of our cat-cow. I just want to make sure that spine is as fluid as possible and we have as much awareness as possible of the spine and the way that energy moves and the way that, the spine kind of is this central channel that helps us self-regulate because it's the center of the nervous system. So move with your breath. Settle into your spine, and once again, we are in that reality of body and breath, present moment experience. All right, inhale your spine back to neutral. Sit down onto one side of your hips. This time it can just be the natural, instinctual way. Swing your legs straight out in front of you. Staff pose, once again, feet flexed, legs hip width apart, palms or fingertips down beside your hips, shoulders on top of the hips. So you have all these nice, long, straight lines. Okay, I'm actually going to turn the other way so that it's a little easier, I think, for you to see what I'm doing. If I do it this way, my feet wouldn't be blocking the whole shot. Now, if you have a lower back that tends to round forward a lot, maybe take your blanket or your towel under your tailbone for these next couple poses. We're going to do one more twist together. This time, we're going to go into a full seated spinal twist, just one more opportunity to work the low back forward, work the shoulders backward, Lengthen the spine, address the neck. Really, twists are my favorite things for this idea of releasing tension and getting moving when we sit and work and do Zoom and all that all the time, because it addresses all those spaces that tend to get so congested with tension. This is a pose that goes in stages. So you have many, many options here. I was checking the time, but you have options as always. I will tell you where phase 1 is, I'll tell you where stage 2 is, and you can decide where you stay and where you go. I want to encourage you to listen to your body, because the purpose is to release tension, to settle. And anytime we force, we're doing the opposite, and it kind of becomes less yoga and more like forcing. And we don't want to do a force practice. We want to do a yoga practice. So from here, staff pose. Your legs extend straight out in front of you. Your spine is long, your belly is toned to support that long spine. All right, start by bending your right knee. You can place your right foot on the floor to the inside of your thigh, or you can take your right foot, cross it over to the outside of your thigh. If you cross it and it doesn't feel like both hips are stable on the floor, or it makes your low back feel really crunchy, uncross. And this is a fine way to do this twist. All right. If your foot is crossed, you can keep your left leg, your extended leg, straight, or you have the option to bend that knee and draw your foot around so that the left foot is flexed and it rests beside the right hip. If that pulls on your kneecap, if that gets your hips, or if that takes your hips up off the floor, or it rounds your low back too much, keep the legs straight. Neither of these variations are better, just different ways to approach the work, and you can get curious about what's best for your body. So you find your leg position. You want to be able to press your left foot into the floor. This is a pose that also addresses the hips. I'm telling you, it gets everything. So more you press your right foot, I think I said your left foot first, I'm sorry. The more you press your right foot into the floor, the more it's going to work into your hip. Okay, press down. Now interlace your fingers around your right shin. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Send your low back forward, pull your shoulders back, and as you exhale, just settle in there. Now, you also have options depending on which way you want to twist. You can twist sort of the classical, you can do the classical variation of a spinal twist. And if you're going to do that, you're going to grab high up on your left, or my goodness, you're going to grab high up on your right leg. Inhale your right arm to the sky, get your waist as long as possible, and then exhale, twist to the right, bring your right fingertips to the earth, look over your right shoulder. So that's one way. That's kind of the classical way to twist. But if that feels too constricting for your body, if you need a little more space for your torso, you can grab on with your right hand, inhale your left arm up, and twist to the left and do an open twist instead. Okay, so you decide which direction that you're twisting. Inhale, get your waist long. Exhale and twist. Look over the shoulder if the neck says yes. If not, just look straight ahead. Pull your shoulders back toward each other. Roll your low back forward and press your right foot into the floor. There's your low back, shoulders, and hips. Now tone your belly and turn from your ribs. There's your spine, there's your neck. Breathe. If you're familiar with any other variations of this pose, maybe there's a different variation that you do with your arm, go for it, okay? Go for what works for you. I'm going to stay here. I want us all to connect with the breath, and we're going to use some of that creative visualization again. This time we're going to try to move the breath up and down the spine. So it's like you inhale to your tailbone and the breath travels up all the way to the crown of your head. And then you exhale and you feel the breath travel down from the crown of your head, down your spine, to your tailbone again. And just breathe up and down your spine a few times. As you wring it out in your twists. Okay, next inhale. Just work your way back to center. Lean back on your hands as you exhale and straighten your legs. Bounce your knees out a few times. Okay, flex your feet, spread your toes. You have phases and options for this next variation, or for the second side of the twist. So remember, meet yourself, settle with yourself rather than forcing, right? And remember your breath. So you can bend your left knee, place your left foot on the inside of your thigh, or cross it to the outside of your right thigh. Remember, you want both hips solid on the ground, so you shouldn't be able to put your fingertips under either hip. You don't want your low back to round too much. So keep that in mind when you decide whether to cross inside or outside. If you're crossing outside, make sure you can press into that left foot. There's the hip work. You have the option to keep your right leg straight or bend that knee, flex your foot, and bring your right foot to rest beside your left hip. If that pulls at your right knee, gets your hips or keeps your hips, what's the word I'm looking for? If it lifts your hips off the mat or it rounds or compresses your low back, you don't have to do it. Remember, there is no better, just different, and just we each have that one place where it clicks for us. So I just want you to find the one that works and does that for you. All right. Once you decide your leg positioning, interlace your fingers around your left thigh. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, settle your tailbone and shoulders as you roll your low back forward and pull your shoulders backward. Okay, remember, you can do the classical twist where you grab high on the left leg with the right hand, inhale the left arm up, get the waist long, then exhale, twist open to the left, fingertips down, and look over that left shoulder if it feels good. Or if it feels better for your torso to do an open twist, lift your right arm and twist to the right instead. So you decide. Find your twist. And again, if there's an additional variation of this pose, maybe something that you like to do with your arm, some other kind of adaptation for this shape that you're familiar with and are comfortable with, and you want to do it, go for it. Just want you to bring awareness to your breath, bring awareness to your spine, and once again, begin to breathe up and down the spine. Just getting familiar with that central channel of the body where our energy moves and is regulated and is alive, no matter how stagnant or tense we might feel. Take one more breath. On your inhale, come back to center, uncross your legs, bounce your knees out a few times. Come down onto your back. Take as many steps as you need to get there. As you come down, bend your knees. Take your feet out as wide as each edge of the yoga mat, and then drop your inner knees together so that they touch for constructive rest pose. You can rest your arms in any which way. They might come to the floor with your palms facing the sky. You can bring them face down to your belly. It's whatever works. What I really want you to focus on, once again, is your spine. In this pose, your low back is completely grounded into the floor, totally supported. So I want you to feel your whole spine, from that low back to each vertebrae, to the shoulders, to the back of the head. Just neutral, steady on the floor, on the earth. You start to settle into that long, open spine that you created and tapped into in your practice. Maybe you settle into a feeling of being a little more open in your body. Maybe you have a little more body and or breath awareness that you can settle into. You start to settle into a feeling of being more still as you, or as we together, transition from the movement part of our practice to a little bit more stillness. Okay. Keep your feet wide, but separate your knees wide as well. Release your hands to the ground if they're not there already, and just windshield wiper your knees from side to side a couple times, just drawing some movement back into your body, or I should say back into the hips. We're not quite at that phase in the practice where we're trying to get the whole body moving again. We're just trying to lubricate the hips one more time before we get still. Okay, come back to center. Now heel toe your feet together until the inner edges of your feet touch. Now fold the feet together. Touch the soles of the feet. Let your knees open wide and come to a reclined butterfly pose. You can slide your feet closer to you or further away from you until you feel solid in your thighs. You just don't want to feel pulling in your thighs. Again, you can rest your arms in any way that feels good. I want you to press your pinky toes into the floor. Press the soles of your feet into each other and press actively. Just one more reset for the hips, especially after that kind of squared hip, closed hip pose that is a seated spinal twist. Now we're opening the hips one more time. We're pressing any last bits of tension out and just stabilizing the lower body. Breathe deeply and press into those feet. Okay, when you're ready, reach down. Grab the outer edges of your legs. Help your knees back toward each other. And find your way into your Shavasana, into your effortless pose, a pose of stillness. Maybe you do that by extending your legs straight out on the yoga mat and letting your feet fall open. Maybe it feels better to come back into that pose with the knees bent, feet wide, knees touching. It's called constructive rest. You could even stay in your supine butterfly. You could lie on your side in the fetal position or even lie on your belly. I just want you to find a place where you can start to release the effort in your body. I'm going to sit up so that I can talk to you, but you lie back or lie wherever or get comfortable however and really start to rest. So all those spaces that you intentionally worked with, the eyes, the neck, shoulders, spine, low back, hips, you release the effort now. There's a difference between being stagnant, which is what we're trying to address through this practice and through all the movements, and being effortless. Now I want you to be effortless. Just try to soften all those spaces. Sink them more toward the floor and settle in. As the body settles, the breath becomes the main focus. It becomes the center point of the whole practice. And just like you did in the first few moments of your practice, you start to notice just what is it like for you to inhale right now? What is it like for you to exhale right now? And even with all of those different tools and practices you did in your body, it's still the breath that ultimately brings you into that place of releasing what is stagnant and tense so that you can settle more fully into yourself. But now, on the other side of all those movements, notice if there is a deeper space you can settle into. Notice if you're more tuned in to your capacity to really settle. The body is a present moment experience. So when we are really uncomfortable, in pain, unsettled in the body, it's really hard to feel okay in the present moment. Releasing that tension in the body is a really straightforward way to give ourselves more space to be okay in the present moment. So for these next few moments in your effortless stillness, you feel the body and the breath kind of dancing together to bring you into that feeling of, all right, even just for this moment, I'm okay in the present moment. Feel free to pause this video or mute the sound or do whatever you need to do to stay settled in your effortlessness for as long as you want to, as long as you can. But when and if you're ready to come out, you can start by inviting a deeper breath. And then you can start inviting gentle movements in your body, whether you wiggle your fingers and toes, circle your wrists and ankles, or make any other gentle movements to ground you back in that body awareness where it all starts. And then when you're ready, if your knees aren't already bent, bend them. Slowly roll over to one side. Lie on your side in the fetal position with your hands like a pillow. So one more moment of staying settled and still. But this time it's a transition. It represents our capacity to take the release and the stillness and the steadiness, everything we generated in practice, and live it off the mat. When you're ready, press your hands into the floor. Slowly work your way upright and come to a comfortable seat one more time. Cross whatever leg in front that you wouldn't normally just to balance those hips one more time. Lengthen your spine, releasing your tailbone. Close your eyes or gaze softly at the floor as you settle in to body and breath one more time. Closing your practice in the same place you began, but noticing who you are when you practice. Now that the practice, at least this part of the practice that happens on the mat, now that that's complete, notice who you are. Notice what happens and how you feel when you settle into the deeper parts of your being beyond the tension and the stress. The world needs those deeper parts, so thank you for practicing. When you're ready, you can circle your hands to a prayer pose, pressing your palms together and your thumbs into the center of your chest. If it feels okay, bow your forehead to your chest, just as a symbol of bowing to your heart and to your practice. Bowing to the practice community that we have shared, that everyone watching this practice has shared, and bowing in service of anyone who can't practice. And with abundant gratitude and with a recognition of your spaciousness, your practice, and your dedication to settling and being well for yourself and for the world, I bow to you and I close our practice. Thank you so much for being here with me. It is a gift and a joy to offer you this virtual practice space. And I feel you here, even though I can't see you and you're not watching in real time. I still feel you. So thank you. If this practice worked for you, please feel free to share the video, like, subscribe. But of course, if it didn't, let me know. Either way, if you have feedback, if you have questions, if there's anything you want to ask about or connect about in regard to this practice or anything else, please reach out. You can find me at Wild Yogi Thing on Instagram. And I'm so honored to be in community with you. I love you, and I'll see you next time.